Character, good and bad. Sometimes when I think a lot of times as coaches, or anybody, when we say the word character, we automatically think of the good. You know, someone with character, someone with substance. But there's a direct opposite. There's character that's bad, and that's been developed in those kids, those players that we're getting. It's not always a positive. Okay, so we need to be able to identify where those players are weak. And as a coach, I got to have a game plan to build them up. Okay, got to have a game plan to do that, and most of us don't. Character is taught, caught, and carried. It's taught first by parents. Okay, and like we said before, may not be a great family situation. It's caught by those kids. Next, it's taught by teachers. And then finally, it's taught by coaches. All right, and all those that character development, those kids get over the years, we have a chance to impact. And they're going to carry that on into the world with them. So remember that character is taught, caught, and carried. We have an opportunity as coaches to change that. I saw many kids that were 16-year-old, kids from the streets that were dealing drugs would come into a treatment center, and I'd be able to work with them for 6 months, and I'd watch those kids change. And every once in a while, to this day, I'll get a phone call or a letter saying, hey, Coach Cal, you helped me out. I'm doing great now. I'm holding the job. I'm back in school. So don't think that if you get a kid that's coming to you and he's got character that lacks, that you can't influence that in a positive way, because you can. I've seen it. And as a coach, we have those kids for a long time, a lot of hours, so we can really influence them in a positive way. Real quick, I want to talk real quick. I think it might be the 5th one down. The good character where a player relies on internal motivation, and the bad relies on external motivation. I believe that for the youth coaches that are out there, that our job as a youth coach is to get those kids to start wanting to please the coach and stop wanting to please the parent. Because in pleasing the coach, they're going to please the parent. I've seen too many times where you get a kid at practice and you're trying to teach them a drill or whatever it is, and they got a dad hollering from the sidelines, and that kid immediately recognizes that voice and turns to the father or the parent. I want that kid's eyes. I want that kid looking at me for approval. So we want to take the youth player from wanting to please the parent to wanting to please the coach. And as they get older, we want to be able to turn that external motivation of us as a coach into internal motivation, so that those kids now are doing it because it pleases them. And in doing so, it pleases the coach and it pleases the parent. So we want to, again, we want to change them from wanting to please the parent to the coach, and we want to switch that external motivation to the internal motivation. So they're doing it because it makes them feel good. Character. When I first heard this, I was completely blown away. It means to scratch and engrave. The attributes or features that make up and distinguish an individual. The outcome, at least that we're hoping for, is that they become one of substance. What are we scratching and engraving in those kids' hearts? As a youth coach, I see a lot of hearts being scarred out there. Kids being used as pawns of the system in youth sports, and that's a problem. Again, we talked about responsibility. We have a responsibility to scratch and engrave those attributes, those character qualities that are going to make those kids successful in life. There's nothing better than seeing a kid when he does something positive, rewarding that, making a huge example of him in practice, and just watching his eyes fill up. And watching a parent on the sidelines see that, and watching them become full of pride. What are we scratching and engraving? Good measures. How many kids are coming back to our program each year? Do they want to come back, and do they want to play for you? Mike will tell you one of the reasons that I got into this. My oldest son, I'll tell you what, if you're coaching your kids out there, I'm going to tell you right now, you're walking a tightrope. It's tough. As a father coach, you can see you can see a player getting better, maybe going through a particular drill, and he's improving. but I know that I would watch my son do the exact same drill and point out what he was doing wrong, just really hard on him. And Coach Orzen was good enough to point that out to me and said, hey, look, you're losing him. He should be playing on Friday nights one day, and because of you, he's not going to. It was a wake-up call. I had to change, and I got to tell you, I had a chance to coach him again this year, and it was probably one of my the best coaching experiences that I've ever had. I got to reconnect with him as a dad and a coach, and we had a lot of fun this year. So what are we doing? What are we scratching and engraving in our players, coaches? If you're going to start this process, guys, you have to be able to take, you can't, there can be no fear. You have to be able to take a look at yourself realistically and truthfully. What am I doing out there with the time that I have? Have you ever thought about this? Have you ever even sat down and thought, what are the character qualities I want my kids to have? Can you name them? Can you be specific about that? A lot of times we talk about character, guys, in too broad of terms. We discuss character when the team is flat, or we're just, we've come off a terrible loss, or there's some off-the-field stuff going on. Then we address it. But we just talk about it as character. We need to become specific about character qualities. I have coaches all the time say, well, how do you coach character? Well, by golly, you teach it the same way you teach a play. What do you start with? You start with stance and starts, the most basic movement of any drill. And we can become real specific with those kinds of things, that physical part. It's the same thing with character. What's the most basic form of any character quality is its definition. That's it. All right, and the second part of that is the behavior of the coach. If there's any incongruence in the way that coach is acting and what he's asking his players to do, those players aren't dumb. They're going to pick it out. Coach is telling me this, but he's doing this. So we have to become specific about those character qualities, and then we got to rep them like we rep plays. Those kids, I guarantee you, if you run any type of dive series or whatever, those kids can run those plays in their sleep. Is it the same with, are you as specific with character development? Probably not. I know I wasn't. Every once in a while, bring in a guest speaker, or we'll have a team unity day, or we'll go feed the homeless. All those things are great, but what am I doing to affect these kids on a daily basis in my interactions with them? What am I doing?